Before we do the introductions, Next to me is Mr. Dustin Davids. My name is Colin Christians, Chairperson of SCOPA, AG. And I think online is the Audit Committee. I'm just going to give the members opportunity to introduce themselves and then to the AG and the Audit Committee, and then we'll start with the presentation. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Chair, and good afternoon, AG members, and good afternoon to my colleagues. My name is Noko Masipa. I am an alternate on this standing committee. Thanks, Chair.
Good afternoon, Chair. I'm Leon van Wyk. I'm a member of the Public Accounts Committee. Good afternoon to AG and to Audit Committee Chair and fellow honourable members.
Good afternoon, and I'm a French Mbombo, member of SCOPA.
Afternoon, Dave Bryant. I'm an alternate on this committee, and I'm just here to observe for now. Thanks.
Good afternoon. My name is Pet Lecker. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Beauty Miende, and I'm the acting senior manager.
Good afternoon. My name is Carl Simons, and I'm the assistant manager on the project. Thank you.
Good afternoon, colleagues and Chairperson. My name is Tsepo Mutlomi from the Auditor General Office. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Member, can you just introduce yourself? Member that just came in.
Afternoon, Chairperson. My name is Beauty Stoffels.
Thank you very much. Online.
Good afternoon, Chair and members. I'm Francois Barnard, Chairperson of the Audit Committee.
Everybody, is that everybody? Thank you very much. AG, over to you.
Good afternoon once again. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to share the audit outcomes for Department of Local Government. So if we go to the slides,
Person of the Standing Committee of Public Accounts. Next to me is Mr. Dustin Davids. I'm going to give the members opportunity to introduce themselves, and then the minister and the HUD and the department. And after that, we will do introductory remarks. Just members that I allow for 2 questions. We'll do the sections, as I say, section C, E, and F. And then if there's follow-ups, we'll do follow-ups and they'll give a second round. So that is how we operate SCOPA at the moment for the members that's not permanent members of SCOPA. So over to you.
Good afternoon, Chairperson. Thanks for clarifying the 2 questions. My name is Noko Masipa. I'm an alternate on this portfolio. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. I'm Leon van Wyk, a member of the Public Accounts Committee. Thanks for announcing a Friday afternoon special for questions today. Thank you.
Afternoon, Chairperson. I'm Beauty Stoffels, and I'm a member of Local Government Committee.
Good afternoon, Chairperson. Good afternoon, Minister and the officials from the department. My name is Pat Lecker.
Afternoon, Noma French Mbombo, SCOPA member.
Minister, over to you and the HOD to introduce.
Chairperson, thank you. Thank you to the committee. I'm Anton Bedell, responsible for local government.
Good afternoon, Chairperson and members. Graham Paulson, Head of Department.
Pedro Solomons from the Department of Local Government.
Bhavna Silal Singh from Finance.
Audrey Jacobs from Finance.
AD Saul from Finance.
Good afternoon, Chair. Colin Dana, Disaster Management and Rescue Services.
Good afternoon, Chair and honorable members. Albert Lwengu, Policy and Strategy.
Good afternoon, Chair and honourable members. Sandra Greiling, Municipal Performance Monitoring and Support.
Good afternoon, Chair. Vernon Akir from Municipal Infrastructure.
Good afternoon, Chair. Lavinia Nicholson from the Provincial Disaster Management Centre.
Good afternoon, Chair. Amanda Willett, Fire Services.
Good afternoon. My name is Lovuyona Pagade, Finance.
Good afternoon, Rowena van Wyk, Communications.
Good afternoon, Ashley Seal, Finance.
Good afternoon, Chair, honourable members, MEC, Grant Brown, District and Local Performance Monitoring.
Good afternoon, Chair, honourable members, Kamal McCann, Municipal Governance.
Afternoon, Chair, honourable members, Gary Birch, Specialised Support.
Good afternoon, Chair and honourable members. Zanele Mtyoko, Municipal Support and Capacity Building.
Good afternoon, Chair, honourable members. Justine Stevens, Public Participation.
Morning, Chair. My name is Sipo Pendu, Public Participation.
Good afternoon, Chair and honourable members. Heinrich Macherman, Community Development Worker Program.
Good afternoon, Chair, honourable members. Nozuko Zampaka, Integrated Service Delivery.
Good afternoon, Chair and honourable members. Abigail Robinson, Service Delivery Integration.
Online, is there anybody online that need to introduce themselves?
Good afternoon, Chair and members. Blanche Cancroft, Internal Audit.
Good afternoon, Chair and honourable members. Ritvan van Rensburg, Provincial Forensic Services.
Good afternoon, Chair. Francois Barnard, Chairperson, Audit Committee.
Thank you very much. I think that's everybody. Minister and HOD, over to you for introductory remarks. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Chairperson, I think we can get right into it. From my side, we appreciate this kind of interaction, keeps us sharp. We've done our utmost best. The whole team, I think they've done quite well. But we've prepared and we're ready to field your questions. Thank you.
Honourable Chairperson, members, yeah, so it has been a difficult time for us, particularly towards the end of last year, with COLA adjustments being absorbed by the department. And going forward, it's going to be equally difficult. And also think the DBSA directive around the filling of posts and so on has also played a role in relation to what we need to do. But Chairperson, we've managed our way, and also my sincere gratitude to the entire management team as well as the entire department, those here, but also back in the offices. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, members. Governance is part C, 78 to 88. Part E, 126 to 133, and then part F is 136 to 211. So we're going to do part C first, 78 to 88. Is there any questions? Member Pat Lecker, and then Member Stoffels. Member Pat Lecker.
Thank you, Chair. In page 80, under key strategic risks considered and addressed during the year, I want to know, Chair, particularly in line with number 1, on the ability of the department to deliver its legislative mandate. Can we get clarity with regards to municipalities that could not get its clean audit? What exactly has been the role of the department in ensuring that it gives support to those municipalities and ultimately which can then lead to clean audits? Has the department been upfront and assist those municipalities into achieving such? But also, can we also, whilst we're there, get clarity in relation to instances where there has been instability, especially in municipalities where there has been a what you call, what is that thing? Interventions in those municipalities because of the instabilities. Thank you.
Very much. Member Stoffels.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, mine is on 79. To go to the table, there on top. The performance of the information on MCO members. We have been told, even by the previous sitting, that the SMS team in the department has not held any meetings since May. And we would like to understand if issues that affect their meetings also impacted MCO. Could you tell us when the last MCO meeting took place? Additionally, so if noted that the CFO did not attend in all meetings, would you provide details on which meetings she missed and reasons for absence? I thank you.
Thank you very much. That's it. Thank you. Minister HOD.
Thank you, Chairperson. So just in relation to, I think, sector just 80, it is around the key strategic records that it relates to the just the department able to do its deliver its legislative, incidental, and or applied mandates. So if I can just give context, Chairperson, very quickly. So there is our legislative mandate, and regularly there will be new legislation or additional legislation, whether that's by means of legislation itself, policies and regulations. But it doesn't imply that the funding is coming with it. So the National Department will maybe say the staff regulations, it's a point in case, and then the function will have to be performed by the department, but there's not funding following. And so increasingly there is pressure on us. We don't get funding for additional staff and so on. Same with implied mandates or incidental mandates. We do a lot around energy in municipalities. We do a lot around wastewater management. We do a lot about water itself. But because it's for the citizens and so on, we do it. It's actually a local and a national competency. So we do spend time and effort and funding on it.
but it is a problem because over time it increases and increases. We don't get the appropriate resources to accompany those additional responsibilities in law. We are working, Honourable Chairperson, together with the Provincial Treasury in relation particularly to the annual financial statements. There are technical sessions that we do have, like the time, where we do biannual assessments on the performance of municipalities. And so we take fundamentally responsibility for the governance part. The Provincial Treasury take responsibility for the financial part. However, we do work together to ensure that there's no overlap and duplication, so that so municipalities don't do double dipping and our efforts are not duplicated. And the other thing that's also required between ourselves, the Department of the Premier, as well as the Provincial Treasury, there is what the Asia requires is a coordinating ministries. And how do we work together to improve first the performance of municipalities, but secondly, also how do we improve the lived experience of citizens about the work that we are doing. So we developed this port plans in concert with the Provincial Treasury. They will focus fundamentally on finances, and we will focus on the others. Honourable Chairperson, this question of Honourable Stoffels. There are management meetings happening. It's just happening on those directly reporting to me. It's actually the Chief Director's meeting that is taking place. So monthly meetings do take place. And I don't have the details why the CFO is not in attendance. I can get it and provide it to the committee.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Is there follow-up on those questions? Member Stoffels, is there follow-up?
Yes, Chair. Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you for the response, HOD. But it's difficult for me to accept the answer because the CFO reported to the HOD. See, from part of the team of the HOD. And there's no way the CFO can, the HOD can sit and tell us, but he don't know about the CFO's meetings and whereabouts. He's supposed to be the first one who knows. So I'm not really comfortable with the answer because I believe we need an answer in this committee. Thanks, Chair.
Before you answer, Minister, so remember, so what we do as a committee, we have an in-committee after this, and extra and additional information we want from the HOD, we'll do that. But that is what we do. So we'll put that part of the resolutions and send it that we get it in writing. Minister, over to you.
Comfortable with that ruling, Honourable Chair. We will, and as we've in the previous meeting said, that we expect it will be part of the resolutions, and then we will answer.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's move on. Is there any questions, Member Lekker?
Thank you, Chair. On page 82, Chair, there's a table there which talks on cases, yes, on cases that have been dealt with. Can we get clarity, Chair, exactly as to what did this entail, including the one that is said to have been closed? What exactly were the actions, or were the actions that were as part of a consequence management taken against the employees? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, Member Stoffels?
Thank you, Chairperson. Mine is again on page 80, paragraph 2. The Western Cape government adopted an anti-fraud and corruption strategy which confirmed the province's zero tolerance stance towards fraud, theft, and corruption. Yes, we agree. They have adopted that. On page 80, paragraph 2. 82, yeah. 82. Yes, we agree. But in respect of this so-called zero tolerance towards fraud and corruption, can the MEC tell us specific actions that the department have taken to address fraud and corruption, and in the municipalities specifically? And then in particular, because there was this incident, I referred to this incident in the previous sitting, the Malusi boy issue. And even that measures of that corruption, how couldn't it pick up the fraud of that Cape Town city? So how effective is these measures that couldn't pick up that fraud within the city of Cape Town? So, and based on that, it informed again my question to say that I've raised previously, why we cannot, in instances like this, put in place the 106 investigations. I thank you.
Masipa?
Thank you, Chair. First, let me welcome the audit report. In terms of obviously the areas that you are auditing, Minister, the areas that your report provides here, what is the benchmark in terms of how do you compare with the rest of the colleagues in the country in terms of the work that you are doing pertaining to fraud and corruption and internal and audit committee as such? If you can really just share with us regarding your benchmark. How do you benchmark yourself against your colleagues across the country? Thank you, Chair.
Okay, I'm going to give to the HOD. We're going broad. Like I said previously, I don't want to stipend any questions and so on, but this annual report is for the department. The department should, and when we speak about employees, we talk about the province. But Minister and HOD, I'm leaving it to you to answer whatever you can. Thank you.
Honorable Chairperson, just in terms of the cases, it was an internal case during the recruitment and selection process. A particular candidate has taken a item with him during the practical, and there was a view that he shouldn't have done so. It has been investigated, but the recommendation out of that was just to say that there must be a firm decision when people do go for practicals during the recruitment and selection process, whether they're able actually to make use of external devices like searching the website and so on. And that has been completed, and that case has been closed. The recommendations have been complied with. Just in terms of the corruption and awareness within the department, I'm going to ask just perhaps the CFO to talk about some of the awareness raising initiatives in the department, and as Kirk can also add from the ethics. And then perhaps, Chairperson, I would ask Gary just what we're doing in terms of municipalities, in terms of fraud, corruption and maladministration, and what the process is, and who we're working with. And then just perhaps, I don't know whether the Minister can maybe do something about the 106 investigation. And then we can deal with the comparative analysis to the rest of the country.
The fraud awareness training, we do internal, it's one-pagers, awareness, just to...
Substitute voice.
I have a loud voice gingerly. Yeah, so we normally just do one-pagers to create awareness around it, potential areas that people need to watch out for, like on 30-day payments, what to look out for. We're also heavily reliant on .P and the internal auditors related to the fraud training itself from FIU. And then they've now recently started to roll out training at Cramaria, which is a little bit more extensive than the training that used to happen before, but it's in a shorter time frame. So now the training is 3 hours as opposed to 3 days. and it can now be done online as well. So I think that's allowed a wider access to an audience within the department, given that more than half of our staff are based in the field, which is the CDWs. And I think it's worked pretty well. We do monitor it on a yearly basis. It's one of the plans that we have in terms of the fraud implementation plan. It's the training. And it's measured by the amount of cases that we have within the department and the awareness that's created around it.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thank you for the question. Just in relation to Section 106 investigations, I think it's important just to remember what the mandate of the minister is. The minister's mandate in terms of 106 of the Systems Act is pretty limited. The minister there is, and the intention behind a 106 investigation is not to conduct a criminal investigation. That's obviously left to SAPS and the Hawks. And then obviously with the National Prosecuting Authority prosecuting those criminal offences. Essentially, and the long and short of it is the 106 investigations are meant to sort of uncover and identify issues of wrongdoing from municipal officials, which ideally leads to those officials being removed from the system. And then, of course, the recovery of any irregular expenditure related to any offences as well. Then just in relation to what we're doing just to improve the current system, that as well. We've in fact entered into a cooperation protocol with the AGSA just to try and ensure that there are essentially more consequences following on forensic investigations that are conducted, and that the necessary powers of other entities are also used in relation to the findings following from Section 106 investigations. And useful there, and why we've been engaging with the AGSA is to try and use their legislation to again hold implicated officials accountable for their wrongdoing. Then we're also working quite closely with the SIU, Public Protector, the Hawks as well, in relation to referral of various matters. Each of those different entities and investigation bodies have varying mandates and overlapping mandates in relation to offences that are committed at municipalities. And the powers given to each of those vary quite widely as well. So we're working quite closely with those entities and trying to ensure that where possible, we can have the necessary entities with the best appropriate powers actually investigate those matters, and also to try and prevent any duplication as well of investigations. Thanks.
So just on the benchmarking, Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Masipa, we don't necessarily benchmark ourselves against other national departments. Before I had what we call a HOD forum, where we meet with all the rest of the province, the 8 provinces and all the heads of departments, where we particularly share research, court judgments, policies, legislation, and so on, so that we learn from one another and we don't necessarily duplicate. I know this is the finances of it, but sometimes we also discuss financial issues in relation to municipalities itself. So that was what we've done on a national level with the other 8 provinces, and we will do that. Just in relation to if you compare the municipalities in the Western Cape and in other provinces. So interesting, I had a call about 3 weeks ago from my colleague in the National Department, Cocter, and what they've inquired is whether they can actually twin municipalities in other provinces with municipalities in this province that had clean audits and consistent clean audits, and whether they can actually put that proposal to the national minister and whether we will be amenable to do something like that. So my response to my national colleague was, yes, I mean, it's one country. And if we can share our experiences and our learnings with the rest of the country and with other municipalities, we are gladly able to do so. And that gives an idea on the benchmarking of particular municipalities in this province and other municipalities in the country. Thanks, Chairperson.
Chair, thank you. And then just on the City of Cape Town's matter, the City of Cape Town picked up the foreign activities and they called in the Hawks. So there was no space for us to then also let the Hawks do their work. And there's a result, and we're looking forward to look at the court case and court judgment. But we're not going to duplicate. We also need to respect that there's spheres of government. So the code of conduct in the council, it's within those spaces, and if they deal with it, then we don't interfere. So that's just to add to it. Thank you.
Member Stoffel, so you've got a follow-up?
Yes, Chair. Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I'm happy with the answers from the MEC and the HOD. But what I fail to understand is that whatever has been mentioned here, it's not been implemented in a fair manner towards other municipalities. Let me take the municipality where I come from, Kanaland. If we go to the history of Kanaland, go and check how many times the Hawks visit that place, SIU visited that place, and go and check the legal expenses of that in Kanaland. And then you ask yourself, why was the method being mentioned by the MEC and the HOD not be applicable to Kanaland? And with the City of Cape Town, it's been applicable. You see, hence we are advocating for fair treatment, because it's of no use. And out of that exercise happened in Kanaland, there's no outcome. You don't know what the outcome is. But there's fees connected to that. And so can I mention these municipalities? I think where you have implemented, you must have results out of it. You cannot just implement. But I'm mentioning these things so that the committee can take note of what I'm mentioning and check how best can we reduce these kind of expenses based on rumors. People, yes, we are not condemning whistleblowers, but I think we must start to verify the whistleblowers' information in order for us to save at the end of the day this irregular, what is this spending? Yes, that beautiful word. Let us work on that as a department. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Just a follow-up on a question that was asked by Member Stoffels in relation to the CFO meetings. And I'm particularly interested because I would have thought that meetings will not only be attended by the CFOs, but maybe by SMS members as well, like it is in other departments. So can we get details on that one? And lastly, Chair, in relation to enhancing municipalities, can we get details in the recent activities, especially in the TWK? I know it's not part of the report brought before us, but can we get clarity as to is there any form of enhancement, especially since there has been a re-election of the leadership of the council. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Lekker. The CFO meetings and that meetings, we did make a decision to ask specifically for a resolution we'll make, so that is answered already. Minister, you can answer the other question because that I don't know. It's up to you.
Chair, we treat all municipalities the same. We try to. There's different scenarios in each municipality. City of Cape Town picked up on the fraud and they've dealt with it. Kannaland, there was a lot of allegations of fraud and we needed to investigate because they didn't do anything. Now, Kannaland switched municipal managers, mayors, like, you know, the member is from there. So there were various investigations. We did conclude on some of the investigations. Now, remember, we and our team can't take it to the court. We hand it over to the prosecuting authority. And we also await. And I cannot stress enough that, and I phone my colleagues in National and say, can we please build capacity at the Public Protector's Office, at the Prosecuting Authority's Office, so that we can prosecute these cases. But we cannot. We've done our homework, etc. So, and there's sometimes a lot of hostility, and we're getting pushed back from the municipalities because it's a government sphere. So we need to operate inside the legal framework, obviously, always. But then on the whistleblowers, and you will pick up on the radio, there's a lot of people that complain about, yeah, I'm a whistleblower, now I lost my job, and there's a specific act, the Whistleblowing Act. Did they follow that act? No. So we've put in checks and balances, and if we get a complaint, you must fill in a certain form, because we're not going to spend money on rumors and on people just throwing allegations out there. They must give us affidavits, etc., and they must fill in. And Gary and the team can tell you how many of those come back and they don't fill it in. And then they badmouth us and say, we don't want to investigate. Well, give us something. It's a government sphere. So we try to treat everybody the same, but it's not as simple as it sounds always, because people do try and make plans to sidestep the system. On TWK, I can't comment. I don't know. If there's a resolution, we will dig into that. But again, this department, it doesn't matter who's in control of a municipality. We want all municipalities to work. The support is the same. They don't have to work through me. They can work directly with the legal department or the experts within this department. Our vision is to get all the municipalities up to a clean audit status, all the municipalities up and running, at especially focus on service delivery, because we do have a lot of challenges in this province. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Chairpersons. We've done a lot in Kannaland. A lot of work has gone into Kannaland. Our teams were in Kannaland. We've given lots of funding for Kannaland to help them. And I'm going to ask Gary just to respond in relation to the current cases of the Hawks and the SIU that are there. We had a support plan for Kannaland. We still have a support plan for Kannaland. Given the finances of Kannaland, we said, let's do a 139.5 for you, where we developed them a financial recovery plan, given the state of the finances and so on. And they said no, they don't want to be under 135.9 under administration and intervention. They don't want to do that. They then approached the national department. We've done a diagnostic for them to say where are some of the key challenges in Kannaland. And they've asked also the National Department of Cogta to do a diagnostic assessment, and Sandra can talk to the details about that. But we are of the view that Kannaland requires a 139.5, which is a financial recovery plan, and perhaps we can give you the work that we've done, the progress that we've done there. But as the Minister said, there's regular changes. We only heard this morning that is the intention of the CFO to resign in Kannaland. And also heard that they actually let 200 workers go and reappointed 100 workers, but that at this point is unverified. We'll almost probably verify it. And the mayor actually comes to the minister and say, but don't put me under administration. So 1395 is actually not under administration. We're supporting you, develop a financial recovery plan with you with the provincial treasury. And we look at your revenue and expenditure and see how do you become more financially sustainable. And that's the idea of it. So, Chairperson, we've done a lot, but I'm going to ask perhaps just Gary and Sandra to respond quickly in relation to Cunnaland.
But we're just going to give them.
Don't want to call a point of order because that is not in my nature, Chair. I think they have misunderstood me or understood me. I'm not questioning the intervention from the MEC and HOD to Canaland. I can see there's quite a lot of intervention there. There's quite a lot of improvement, even for that matter. The only thing that I've registered is in terms of this corruption and anti-corruption watch from the department itself. How accurate is it? How accurate is it from the department to the municipalities? Because what I have picked up in Canaland, the SIUs and what is this? Falke is been sent there for, I don't know. We don't know till today, but I hear what the minister is saying. Now, what I'm asking, these measures that they put in place, yes, of this corruption watch, is there a proper monitoring towards the municipalities to avoid unnecessary and irregularity spending on these corruptions? This is what I'm trying to say. So in order to say, no, the intervention, I could see that it's there. It's there. But there's no outcome of all these interventions when it comes to the SIU, when it comes to this. And MEC, I think he attempted to answer me in that. So I don't want to drag to other things. This is the only thing I wanted to be clarified from the office of the HOD. That's it all.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, the question's obviously quite a difficult one to answer from the department's point of view. We've got our specific mandate, and Minister has his specific mandate and needs to investigate allegations. And those allegations are related to fraud, corruption, maladministration, and serious malpractice. The obligations on the minister to investigate once certain thresholds are met, essentially, and if he has a reasonable belief in relation to certain things that are ongoing. But in order to do that, he needs to have that information in front of him. In relation to, you know, in the members referring specifically to an allegation relating to the city, in order for minister to investigate that allegation, he would need to be aware of that allegation. And the specific allegation, from my understanding, has been already investigated by the city. So it's not like the matter needs to be investigated. The matter's also been handed over to the Hawks, and there's a criminal investigation ongoing as well. So the minister's powers in relation to the investigation function, there's not a lot more for minister to do. And the necessity for the minister to almost duplicate an investigation that has already been conducted. In terms of the legislation, that's where minister has to determine, is that investigation necessary? And if the investigation has already been conducted, then arguably such an investigation would not be necessary by the provincial government. And keeping in mind what the mandate of the minister is, it's not to conduct a criminal investigation. And the powers of the minister in relation to certain offences, I think, should also be taken into account. And what evidence is needed to prove certain offences. So, you know, for example, the minister doesn't have the power to subpoena service providers to provide certain information. to access bank accounts or cell phone records. Now, some of that information would be necessary to prove certain offences. So that's why we have this engagement and why we coordinate quite closely with other investigation bodies, is so that the relevant investigation body with the necessary powers to investigate a specific offence can investigate that offence and actually come to a conclusion on whether or not an offence has been committed. Yeah, thank you.
Another person? Did you give another person? It's fine. I think it's fine. I think we can halt it there. I think that answers the question. It's been answered by the minister as well. So let's move on. If we want further information, we can do it on our resolutions. Member Stoffels.
Certainly. Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
Let us stop wasting money on things that we because I believe that money that was being spent on that legal activities could be assisting communities, poor communities. So that is the only comment I have on that.
That was a statement. Okay, thank you very much. We note that, Member Stoffels. Okay, are we done with governance? Can we move on to part E, the PFA compliance report, 126 to 133. And I'm asking members to give me the page, please, so that we know how the department with the pages. So if you 2 questions per member, then give the page and then the question. Thank you very much. Do you have hands? Member Lecker, I'm going to give you opportunity. Member Lecker, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'm looking at page 126 on the notes under reconciling notes. The expenditure above cost containment on the S&T tariffs, as well as the expenditure in contravention of the cost containment entertainment. I want to check if this was said to have been an expenditure. Were there no legal terms that were set in order to ensure that the expenditure is not in a position that it is as it is now above the cost as expected? And Chair, in page 128, there were funds that were written off. Can we get clarity as to why would funds be written off when there has been an offense or whatever that they may have committed? Because for me to go to an extent of getting a legal opinion when there are prescripts within the department that are said to be in existence, why would we go to that extent and to a point that we put consequence management systems in place when we already know that there should have been prescripts in terms of the expenditures?
That's your 2 member. We'll give you another opportunity. That's your 2. Can I just ask
that I'm going to number 3?
Yeah, can I just give my 2 and then I'm going to give Member Lecker, that's 129 that you spoke about, the cost written off based on legal opinion received. That's on 129. 128, it's about small amounts, but it's about the footnote 3 cases, reschedule of flight, missing flight. If you can just give some details on that. That's right at the bottom, reconciling costs. And then fruitless and wasteful expenditure, that is the second block there, fruitless and wasteful expenditure. That's my 2. Members, is there other questions? I'll come back to you guys and then to the members. Let me just give the department if there's no other questions. HOD and Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Member. So in terms of the irregular expenditure, there are checks and balances. I mean, this is the 11th consecutive clean audit. So control mechanism is quite institutionalized within the department. In these two cases, particularly related to the irregular expenditure that's on the flight and the accommodation, it was actually human mistakes. And it was different people within different units that there were oversights in. So if we, on average, process, I'd say, about 2,000 transactions or 2,500 transactions a month, over a year to have 2 transactions that have a human error, I think is a low probability, but it's not something that we take lightly. It is a conversation that we've had with the various units. Part of the units have been within supply chain management. We've embarked on training processes, remedies in terms of how it is we can improve the control mechanism. But there definitely is adequate control, and it's not a recurring matter that we're finding in terms of the financials or in the way in which we are reviewing the transactions, because we do a post audit on a monthly basis, and that's how we picked up these 2 transactions. So we have tried to implement remedies along the way, but I think it's extremely difficult to have a remedy to a human mistake, because everybody have human days every now and then. So if we found, as an example, that it was the same officials in both the instances, we might have done something differently. But they were a vast array of different individuals. One of the things that we have started to do on our side in finance is to start getting the assurance, the combined assurance gap model that the province has adopted in terms of the control mechanism. And we're trying to reinforce that as a mechanism, because then line has an equal obligation than on the finance side solely. And that way the levels of control are different, and finance really does become the last line of control. And we're hoping that that will improve the way in which we do things, just on the 2 cases related to that. On the fruitless and wasteful expenditure, so it was 3 cases related to a flight change, the rescheduling of a flight, and a missed flight. That's really the detail. It's people either didn't go to the flight on time and missed it and it needed to be rescheduled, or the incorrect flight was chosen, or that they needed to change the flight to an earlier flight in the way in which it goes. So the reason that we write off the fruitless and wasteful expenditure, which is the page 129. So ordinarily we don't write off fruitless and wasteful expenditure. We go through a proper process. So first we do an assessment, and then we refer it to legal services. So we do an internal investigation based on a whole lot of evidence. We ask questions for clarification through the various people that are involved in it. And then we send it to legal for a legal opinion. Or if it seems like it's a straightforward decision in terms of the prescripts, then we suggest the way in which we take it forward with the HOD. But generally, you have to be found legally liable in order for us to recover money from you on a fruitless and wasteful expenditure. We have recovered money on fruitless and wasteful expenditure along the way within the department. And then individuals that have been found to have been negligent and legally forfeited their cover, as it were. We recover from the individuals, and then we implement a debt, and the money is then recovered by the state. But in these instances, it was found that there was no negligence, but there were recommendations in terms of improvements, again, on the control mechanism, and then also the awareness that needed to be created around the prescripts and the way in which the changes needed to get made. But all of those recommendations have been implemented. So.
Thank you very much. Any other questions on any follow-ups? Nothing. I just want page 131 on right at the bottom, just the GG vehicle damage and theft of damage of equipment, other material losses at the north. If you can just answer that, and I think Is there any other questions, members, on the section E? 130? No, we're not there yet. We'll get there to F. Okay, let me just answer that one and then we'll move over to that. Thank you. HOD, Minister.
Yeah, the detail. Okay.
So if we go to the GG vehicle damage, it's extensively explained in note 5, which is on page 179, and it's related to third-party damage on a vehicle. So it was a claim for the most part. It was a claim related to an accident that one of our staff members was involved in. So it's related to disaster management, write-off of the third-party claim, the driver at the disaster management center, some CDWs, our internal staff, related to GG vehicle damage, and that was 190,000 Rand. And then on the assets, we've got the detail of the 63,000 Rand. And that is various write-offs of assets where people have not been found to have forfeited their state cover via legal opinion. And so the replacement cost was borne by the department and the recovery of the book value was written off. So it's a book entry to almost offset our books and the asset register.
Thank you very much. Let's move to part F, 136 to 211. Member Lecker, you had your hand up previously, so Member Lecker, over to you.
No, thank you, Chair. Chair, mine is under service delivery on 139. 139. No, I understand, Chair. You must be tired. Chair, if I may, I'm trying to make a correlation with what is written here and the lived experiences within our societies. And if you're looking at the nature and the extent in which drought has affected our communities, or not necessarily drought, but climate change, I want to check, Chair, besides the fact that there's monies that are owed to municipalities by the national department, I want to understand what is a principled position of the department into how communities, including municipalities, are supported in relation to the disasters. You would have noted the disaster that was in George back in the years, where the province went all out, assisted those communities, tapped into private funding. But when we had disasters in the metro recently, we were told of monies that are still owed to the province by the national department. And I want to understand, in terms of the mandate of the Department of Local Government, why is there a principle of mutatis mutandi not applied, but applied selectively? I'm making reference to what has happened in the Southern Cape. I think that was in the 5th administration, and what has happened recently this year in the metro in terms of the disasters that we had. And go back, Chair, to page 137. In terms of the environments and rollovers, I want to understand, Chair, if we are to engage in such, isn't it important, Chair, to attend to our priorities properly, especially in light of the power outages that we had recently and the implementation of the strategy to source out electricity independent of Eskom? Thank you.
Thank you. Did you say thank you now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Now I continue. Yes. Thank you. Can I just ask maybe a question on goods and services? It's note 4, page 160, but then it goes into the notes. There's quite a drastic increase in consultants, and there is an explanation at the bottom, but if you can just explain the last part of that, an assessment on public participation in the Western municipalities. So the others I understand, I just want to know what that is about. So that is note 4, that's 4. And then also, if you go to note 4.6, foreign travel has increased quite a bit. And then I'll wait for the next round. I don't want to break my own rules. Okay. Is there other questions, members? HOD, over to you.
Yeah, the colleague perhaps deal with disaster management if you wish. And also, as the member requested, the funding from national.
Thank you, HOD. Chair, so the Provincial Disaster Centre, in terms of relief funding, we don't have relief. We don't have a budget for relief funding. The budgets that we do have is funding that we get for certain capacity building and for disaster response to a level, and that's mostly on our wildfire side. The relief funding that we do get, or recovery funding, is once a disaster has occurred, we then do a disaster declaration if we receive a classification from the National Disaster Centre, and then we apply for funding. So the way that it works is there's provincial funding and there is funding for municipal damages. So for the municipal damages, we would generally, as the Provincial Disaster Centre, work with the district, work out how much that those requests are, and then that goes to the National Disaster Centre, who then works with the National Treasury to determine the funding. It's very seldom that we receive the exact amount that we ask for, because if you can imagine the amount of disasters that have happened, not just in the province, but in the country as a whole, we generally receive a certain amount of that funding. Now, and then the other part, the provincial funding, which is normally infrastructure, education, and agriculture, that we were informed recently, last year, in fact, has to go through the national department. So it didn't go through us. Now, the money that is still owing, or that we still are short of, is funding that specifically the provincial departments applied for, but that has not yet been provided to us. So we are also currently busy with funding requests for the disasters that we had in June, July, and then also the Swartland incident at Riverlands that we are dealing with at this stage. So we then, as we receive that funding, we have to have business plans, which then allows us to actually spend that money in incidents. In the Southern Cape, the incident there, the costs that were covered, or the costs on that specific incident, were covered actually by the municipality, and then the province assisted just with some of the heavy equipment costs that we had to procure for some of the more advanced operations. Yeah.
Maybe also the responses on the major electricity disruptions. Is that technical communications, that unspent earmarked funds? I think that's a second question. Thanks.
So thank you, HOD. So what happened was we have tried to set up a system whereby we can communicate with the entire province if we have a national blackout or a full regional blackout. So what we did was we requested funding so that we could set up some sort of structure that would be able to operate with no electricity, or in a very limited electricity scenario. We were looking at various aspects, specifically satellite communication. But then what we decided to do was, with all the possibilities and with all the limitations that satellite communication can give, we then decided to appoint somebody who would able to assist us with doing an assessment just of what is out there and what is available. So the costs, it wasn't necessary for us to undergo those costs. In fact, in terms of the satellite communication, so we did have a saving as far as that was concerned.
Are you going to deal with 175 to slot 4, please?
Thanks. So with regard to the consultants, the reason, or the major reason for the increase is mainly due to the rollover applications that were processed or submitted for projects that were committed in the previous financial year. And that was in relation to the organizational redesign to regulate human resources within municipalities. Then there was an increase, or there was a rollover application for research towards capacity buildings to support municipalities in the execution of their roles and responsibilities. And then there was also a rollover application related to research on a public participation project. And that was the main reason for the increase in the consultants. It was committed in the previous financial year, but it wasn't finished. So we asked for the rollover, and the projects were completed in the current financial year. With regard to the foreign travel, so the foreign travel is made up of 6 individuals that actually traveled. One that traveled to the support mission to Turkey, and that was in support of the UN DAC. That was 4,500 rand. Then it was to the World Fire Conference, one official for 42,000 rand. Then there was the International Munich Federation Day Conference, and that was sponsored by for the Hans Seidel Foundation, and that was 1,800 rand. Then there was the African School of Decentralization. It's the 3rd African School on Decentralization, and that was 23,000 rand. Then there were 2 winter schools on federalism and governance, and that was 18,000 rand each for each individual. And that's the difference between the previous year. So we had less people traveling on foreign trips the year before than currently, but it was 6 officials.
Thank you. Any other questions? Member, let's give Member Masepa first, and then Member Lekker. Member Masepa.
Thank you, Chair. On page 186, item note 21, sorry, not item, note 21, unauthorized, irregular, and fruitless and wasteful expenditure. I see and I note that there has been an increase. Are you there? Okay, I see you shaking it. So I see there's an increase in terms of the fruitless and wasteful expenditure current year. What was the cause for the increase? Do you mind just maybe sharing a bit there with regards to the details? Thank you.
Member Lekker.
Chair. On page 163, I have noticed, Chair, that in 2022, 2023, and 2023, 2024, there were funds that were surrendered. And I'm really interested in understanding what exactly necessitates this funds that are surrendered. Are there no control systems of ensuring that the same does not happen over and over? Because we've seen it a year before, we've also seen it even now. Also, Chair, if you go to under social contributions, which is page 165, which starts by saying social contributions made by the department in respect of current employees are recognized in a statement of financial performance. I'm not sure if I understand this properly. Is this a case where we are doing performance appraisals, or it is something else? And if it is, can I get clarity exactly to what this means? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Just two questions from me. There was a massive drop in 161 CAS and CAS equivalents. It's note 8, so I've noticed note 8, and I also read the summary on page 167 what it is about. But I just want to know what that is, why the massive drop. That's note 8, and then also on page 177, the resettlement costs that went up significantly. We can just answer that. Thank you very much, HOD.
Chairperson.
Settlement.
That's on 177.
Okay. Okay, so maybe let's start with fruitless and wasteful. It's the same 3 cases that we had discussed earlier in part C, which was the 3 cases of the missed flight, the rescheduled flight. So I can't say that the number of cases have changed. It's just the type of the transaction. So when you need to reschedule a flight, it costs a lot more than if you're needing to purchase one night's accommodation, as an example. So that's that. On social contributions, social contributions are medical aid, it's pension, that type of stuff. So it's not related to performance bonuses at all. Funds to be surrendered, it's the funds that haven't been spent for the intended purposes that it was supposed to have been spent by. So you'll notice that the department has spent 91.1% of its budget, which means the part that's been under-expensed is what needs to be surrendered back to the revenue fund. Generally, we surrender funds back only if there's a specific thing that didn't happen. So as an example, in this financial year, it was related to earmarked money. So we couldn't use that money for anything else. It was earmarked for specific COE related to engineers and the water resilience strategies related to JDMA, related to the hazard model. So there's very specific criteria around the utilization of that money, and then the provincial treasury won't allow us to use it for anything else. So any money that's surrendered is because of the under expenditure associated with it. A lot of the time in previous years, and in some instance this year as well, it's related to the COE aspect, which is in that recruitment hasn't happened the way that it needed to. We've had more attrition in the department than was expected. And a large part of the earmarked money that we had given back was related to the COE aspect. So that would be the reason that the funds were surrendered. Related to resettlements, on 177, I just want to get to the page. So resettlements is related to the paying of the resettlement costs of the newly appointed staff that are outside of the metro. And the department then undertakes that they're going to pay for certain things, and that will be in line with the transversal policy. I see the resettlement did go up significantly, and that was predominantly because we had 3 individuals, yes? It was 3 individuals that relocated in municipal administration, municipal governance, and in disaster management. So that was the relocation of the 3 individuals that we paid for. One of the relocations cost 239,000 rand. The one cost 5,700, and the one cost 134,000 rand. So that is how the 379 is made up. With regard to cash and cash equivalents, sorry, if you can tell me the page so I can have a look at it. Cash and cash equivalents. So it's just the amount that was surrendered. It's the amount that was surrendered to the Provincial Revenue Fund. It's the amount that was cash on hand that was left after we had paid everything, and the amount that then was surrendered to the Revenue Fund. Yeah.
Follow up, Member Lekker. No, go ahead.
Sorry, an amount of 239,000 used for relocation. Is this for an individual? Is there a cap in terms of the amounts that can be spent on relocation? Number two, Chair, on page 182, there's a note there on 15.1 of 7 cases under investigation. I don't know, but if I'm reading this properly, 7 cases under investigation, could this be a case of probably a misuse of application for leave, or what's happening? Why has the matters not been resolved as yet? Is there something brewing, or it's just a process that is being undertaken? Thank you.
Thank you very much. HOD.
I'm not able to answer those.
Other cases, Chairperson, as I understand it, it's is to do with leave in the department, and obviously the fact that people normally use the sick leave, and then they make use of they do a PIL application to make use of that kind of leave, and obviously if there's leave that they need to pay back where they didn't have leave, and then that is registered like that, in my understanding. The 239 resettlement cost, have you responded to that? Specialized support, Gary. It's someone that we have appointed into the departments and the Directorate Specialized Support. We try to limit the resettlement cost in the department. I would maybe consider when there is a appointment where we need to pay the resettlement cost, I'll first indicate that we need to get a cost estimate. We can't, I can't bind the department financially without understanding what the cost implications are. So my attempt, and I think our attempt in the department, is to keep the resettlement cost as low as possible, and perhaps negotiate the resettlement costs, particularly people that resettle from elsewhere. And if you look at the specialized support, and that is what we call about the fraud and corruption, maladministration, it's about also specialized skill. We do forensic investigations in the department, and that relates to that resettlement of that official, Honourable Chairperson.
Any follow-ups? Mbeleka?
Yes, Chair. I don't think the answer on the Pella cases is satisfactory. because really it sounds like a summary, and of which I wanted to understand exactly where are we with regards to those 7 cases.
We're gonna ask for details in our meeting. We're gonna ask for details, and I think also what we wanted to know, and on my case, is there a cap on resettlement costs? But as the CFO said, it's a transversal policy that you have, and you apply that. You know, sometimes you just think, you know, that amount, it's a lot. But we'll talk in committee about that. You know, because that expertise you need, and you need to get the person here. We understand that as well. But the pillar cases we'll take up in committee. Is there other questions, members? Nothing. If there's nothing, then I'm going to ask. Oh, one more. There's a hand waving in distress.
Oh yes, indeed, Chair. On page 187, the 6 assets that were reported and under investigations.
Assets.
Then again, below that, it says 28 assets not presented for verification during annual asset verification process. I would have hoped that during the asset verification and the audit process, one would have wanted to have a balance of all assets that you have on your asset record and what you have on hand. So I'm really interested in knowing or getting a brief explanation, but properly one on this note that is here on page 187, Chair.
The question? Thank you very much. HOD?
Okay, so as part of the verification of the assets, and it's an annual verification, we do the asset verification against the asset register. The 6 assets that we're talking about are assets that have been reported as a loss and has not been finalized in order for us to remove off the asset register. The 28 assets that we've said that we haven't been able to verify is a reconciliation of the assets that we were not able to physically find, that we do not have a loss control report on, so there's no investigation. And we are now asking the people who were handed those assets for safekeeping or the utilization of it to tell us what happened with it. So we've managed to verify some of that, and the list is actually less now. Just want to find the reconciling note. So of the 34 or of the 28, we actually have been able to find 15, and there's 13 that are now outstanding. So either we will have them be presented in the asset verification process that we're going to embark on now, or people will have to embark on a loss control process in order for us to remove it from the assets. But it is definitely a full reconciliation against our asset register and the assets that have been handed off to individuals. So the reason that these 34 are that way, because the loss control has not been finalized or the asset was not given to us for verification, and we have to be able to show it in that way.
Thank you very much for that. Is that the end, Member Lecker? That is the end.
That's the concern, Chair.
Concern, let's go with the concern.
My concern, Chair, would be, which I fully respect, the audit report from the auditors. My concern remain is that our lived-in experiences versus what is audited in the department. And I think we would know that service delivery versus clean audit is not something that can be comparable. And I want to ask from the minister, at what point do municipalities speak to service delivery in communities than the desktop exercise in terms of auditing? Is there a way in respect to KPAs and whatever, that we begin a new phase of saying we have been doing paperwork. It's about time that we look at the actual service delivery in terms of record, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. That was directed to the Minister. Minister?
Yeah, Chairperson, thank you for the questions. It's always a debate, ongoing debate. We also talk to the Auditor General's office on this. I'm a big believer that clean audits do speak to service delivery, because we can put it to you that bad audits definitely leads to corruption and no services. I think everything needs to start at good financial management and good financial discipline, and we all need to promulgate that because it's a difficult system. It's difficult for our municipalities to comply, but we need to keep them to the high quality of financial management and systems that we want and do expect. And it's an ongoing process with Treasury and our department working with municipalities, pulling them, pushing them, getting them on side. And therefore, it's important for us also to showcase that we can manage our finances and assets. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. That's the end of questions. I'm going to ask the Minister to conclude in HOD, and the lucky drawers member van Wyk to do the thank yous. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you for the committee's oversight. We respect that and we appreciate this kind of interaction. I just think I also need to mention that to thank our CFO, the HOD and the team for working together, because this is a team effort, as the CFO put it, that this is the 11th one in a row, but that doesn't mean it's getting easier. It's actually getting more and more difficult because the Auditor General's office also wants to lift the bar always. But suffice for me to say that I need to thank Francois from the Internal Audit Unit. They keep us very sharp. They're very strict with us. They hold us accountable, and they also work with us. So this is as much accomplishment for us as for them. So we also want to thank the internal audit team for their contribution to help us to get to the status. So from my side, again, thank you very much and have a good weekend.
Chairperson, from my side, also to Bhavna and her team, and also to Albert and his team. Thank you very much. The work is sincerely appreciated. And I think also to the entire management team and the entire department. Thank you very much. The work is appreciated. To you as an Oversight Committee Chairperson, it's good to come here and to account for what we've done over the last while. And also, as Minister said, to the external assurance providers, Beauty and his colleagues sitting at the back there. Thank you very much. It's a nice debate having when we have audit discussions, also the audit committee as well as internal audit from our side. Thank you very much.
Van Wyk.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity to give the vote of thanks. I think from the Public Accounts Committee, I think we wish to thank Minister, thanks HOD, thanks the management team for a very good series of presentations and discussions today. I think your annual report really indicates quite clearly what the work that you've done. This morning during the standing committee meeting, I indicated that this department is almost like a duck on water. It is moving along very nicely on the water, but under the water, there's a lot of paddling that is taking place. And certainly that is what this department is doing. And, you're well aware, if you go through the wording and the write-ups of all the work that you are doing. And in many ways, you've phrased it very eloquently without all the deep stresses and trials and tribulations that this team no doubt goes through during the course of the year. So thank you very much for a very good annual report. Thank you for the discussions today. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you, HOD. The committee will stay for resolutions. Thank you very much. to the meeting. We just waited a few. No, but it's Member Lekker. It's not me. Member Van Wyk said we had to be out. And then we'll take it from there, guys.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Through you, honourable members, as you know, I just take down questions, high-level keywords questions, and then I phrase it later on into resolutions by the committee. So the first one, Chairperson, is the one of Member Stoffel's, the ERMCO attendance. The question was, why did the CFO miss ERMCO meetings? And the department said that they can give us a document, they can submit the document in that, Chairperson, and then the committee can then review the document.
Can I just ask quickly, because that was the question asked.
Yes.
And then the HOD said she attended the meetings. They had regular meetings. Did he say that? So we still want documentation, a report on that. You know, because he said they attended meetings. So we want a report to see, because what Member Stoffels is saying, she said the CFO did not attend the meetings, but the HOD said she did attend the meetings.
Yeah.
But let's ask for the report. I said to Mr. Davids, ask for the report. If we need to ask him to appear, we'll do that. But just get the report first. Okay. Thank you. Right.
Okay. Thank you, then, Chairperson. Then basically the matter by Member Lekker about the enhancing the municipalities, basically, and how the department support the Theewaterskloof municipality. The department said that they can come and brief the committee on that. So that's a resolution. Chair, the Kannaland, the HOD himself indicated, Chair, as a resolution, as a briefing, that they're willing to brief the Public Accounts Committee on the Kannaland municipality issues, challenges, and how the department is supporting Kannaland municipalities.
And they must also give us the financial plan. What do they call it? The financial plan.
Financial action plan
that they gave.
Section 139.5.
They must also present that to us. What the plan they gave to Kannaland.
Section 139.
They had a concern when the minister responded that in terms of section 106, blah, 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 blah. And my concern is, does the minister need to have a complainant before a section 106 investigation is undertaken? So I really want to understand exactly how is this section 106 yet to be implemented?
What the minister said they let people forward. There's a form, specific form you fill in, and then they must give affidavits. But sometimes they don't get it. They can only act on affidavits, and if people fill in a pro forma form, and then they pursue the matter. If not, they cannot pursue the matter.
What concerns me the most is that as a public rep, you can only act once there's an affidavit. What does that mean in terms of our own oversight? Or is his office as the Minister of Local Government, does he only rely on affidavit? Or if there's no affidavit, it means it will fall down the wayward? That's my concern.
So Chair, so I've got that down as a resolution, basically as a RFI, request for information, that they forward the committee the implementation process, or the process of how Section 106 is dealt with by the department, and all the associated legislation with Section 106, Chairperson. So that is a request for documentation. Then, Chairperson, basically there was a concern from Member Lekker and Stoffels regarding the Western Cape Strategy and Anti-Fraud and Corruption on page 82. And a specific concern was, and a question was, what is the monitoring system of the strategy implemented to the municipalities by the Department of Local Government? So we can basically just ask them for a report here. And as you say, if the committee is not happy with the contents of the report, then it can be escalated to a briefing by the department chair for further investigation. Chair, then there's basically just 3 more requests for information from the department chair. The one is from you for the resettlement cost. Is there a cap on this cost? They indicated that the department indicated they will send a policy. What's the policy on that?
Maybe broader than that, because there was one resettlement cost for over 200,000.
Yes.
Now, if you bring someone from the outside, I mean, I don't know. Is it the expertise? Yeah, the expertise must be great. Because you understand my point, because it means there's nobody in the province that can fulfill the job. They need to get somebody else. And I don't know, is it financially viable? That's maybe the question that we must ask. No? Thank you.
Chair, that is where the next request for information comes in. Because you asked for the policy regarding is there a cap on bringing people in or on the resettlement cost. The member Lekker asked, they must give us a report on how many staff they have brought in.
3, they brought 3.
3 in, and what's the cost for each. So that's where you will be able to see then, chairperson. And then, chair, on page 182, note 15.1, the 7 pillar cases under investigation, the HOD indicated that they will send the report.
They couldn't give us a proper answer on that one, so that is what we want. Member Lekker? Oh, that is the assets the verification of assets.
Sorry. And then they mentioned the Jennifer Williams case. I want to understand how much has been used so far in that Jennifer Williams investigation. What else? Yeah.
Chair, is not a resolution, but I think it's a point that I was trying to make earlier with the audit team. I think the point is, and Minister put it quite clearly here, to say that clean audit, it means services being delivered. Bad audit means corruption is happening. So those are the 2 that you have got. But we also know that there is a fiscal problem, that the service is being delivered because the targets are being met, but not necessarily that the service is being delivered. And I think, my issue is that the world we are telling out there is that we are telling the world that we've got clean systems, it's working well. But I think we need to change our conversation, and audit is going to help us in terms of changing those conversations, because to attract donor funding, donor is not going to come to the clean audit and say, you deliver in service, you've got the market, you've got the players, you've got the service collection, rates, service collection, and so forth. So you don't need a donor. The market is in Malawi, but we're sitting with the Malawi here at our backyard. How then do we really ensure that, audit does, create this view or this picture that we are sitting with? We're sitting with the Malawi in our backyard. I mean, Wandile talks about agriculture or 2 agriculture, South Africa of 2 agriculture. We definitely have a South Africa of 2 communities. One that is subsidized by the middle class, me and you, and the other one that is really struggling. I mean, that is doing well. But these guys that are subsidizing this one, they can't, it's unsustainable over a long period of time. I mean, your electricity that you are paying, the rates that you are paying. So I think there must be a way. I mean, you are in the public accounts in the SCOPA, and you're working with the audit team, but I think there must be a way of engaging on this matter. I know that we keep on talking about the equity, transfer and so forth. But I think we could find a way in terms of the audit report, because the donor are going to say, oh, no, but you're great, man. I mean, look how you look, we can come with investors, that can come and invest. But would we be able to really pay back, Yeah.
I think that's a good engagement that we can have as a committee with the AG, because the AG did alert when I was in Johannesburg, did speak about it. So that is going to be a briefing by the AG, and please be in that meeting that we can ask those questions.
I'm an alternate here, so
So you can come.
and I don't really normally come. So I was asked by the chief whip to attend. But I think it is definitely an important matter. When I had the AG with regards to my portfolio audit report, I did highlight this point, and I was just putting it to her. Maybe I thought she will catch it. She didn't catch it, but I did discuss with them. After we fit.
Chair, just maybe to provide some historical advice to the committee. The 6th Parliamentary Public Accounts Committee was pushing heavily for to move from just a clean audit outcome report to performance auditing. But the committee never came to the point of actually engaging the Auditor General on how it will be done, because if the Western Cape does it, if this committee does it in the Western Cape, we will be the first in the country to move towards performance auditing. And does the Auditor General have the capacity? It's quite correct what you said, Chair, because the chairperson asked the same question in SAPAC in Johannesburg on the 28th of August. How does the Public Accounts Committee move out of just clean audit outcomes to another level of auditing? And then the Auditor General herself said that this committee should call in this Western Cape Auditor General to get a briefing on how this committee can move with them towards performance auditing. Yes, just instead of clean. So, chairperson, maybe so we can put that. Yeah, maybe early in the new year, chairperson, in February, I'll put it on the committee business plan, and see if the AG will be ready to come and brief us. And the keyword is, Chair, will they be ready to come and brief us in February, chairperson, on that matter?
I'm happy to support that.
I think carefully consider your variables in this performance audit. What are the variables? So I would definitely support it. Thanks.
Thank you very much, members. Member Lika.
A small detail on the 106. Perhaps in writing the reasons why the department has not undertaken any investigation, even though the response was the City of Cape Town instituted its own. So does the minister only rely on what the municipality is providing, or they can? So if they can't, what are the reasons not to?
Pickles want that, Member Van Wyk?
Yeah, look, I think each municipality, if they identify a particular issue, they will launch an investigation. That is within the powers of a municipality to go and do that. So, from George's perspective, where I've been mayor for 4 years, there were a number of cases that were identified within the municipality where the accounting officer then, in terms of the mandate of the accounting officer, then launched an investigation and appointed a forensic investigation or whatever was required to go and do what needed to be done. If there was financial misconduct, it was then reported to council, and that process was followed through. So the municipalities will do that. It is only the province only gets involved in a situation at the municipality where that municipality itself has not dealt with the matter.
That's what the minister also said, yeah.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just on that, Member Van Wyk, just to give further procedural advice on that, is that if we look in the Constitution on the cooperative governance point of view, from the province and the municipalities, from those two spheres, we should be very careful as the province not to overstep, Chair, because according to the Municipal Systems Act and the Municipal Structures Act, as the member van Wyk says, they've got a council which deals with all of these matters. So in terms of those investigations, it's only, Chair, when there is severe maladministration that it gets escalated to the province through Section 139. That's when the province and this legislature take over in conducting the direct oversight over those municipalities, Chair. But unless Section 139 is not implemented or not declared by the minister, unfortunately, the legislature cannot go directly into that municipality because the council is blocking them, Chair.
Now, I think we understand that there's different spheres, and if there's nothing done by the municipality, then, but if there's already action, you don't duplicate that action. I think that is just the answer. Thank you, members. That's the end of our meeting. Meeting is adjourned.